Hello, wonderful people. Daantje and Lotje here. And in this video I will show you my learnings and the key messages of this book. The book inspired me to start showing my work, and it might inspire you as well. The book is called Show Your Work, and it's written by Austin Kleon, and obviously it's about showing your work. So I might as well start by showing you the first key message of this book. You don't have to be a genius. Creativity is a social act. Many people believe that great ideas exist because of the lone genius. For example, people like Mozart, Einstein, Picasso, but this is a myth. Great ideas often exist by a group of creative individuals working and collaborating together. The musician Brian Eno refers to this as a genius. Nowadays there are a lot of geniuses, also online. Think of Discord channels, Facebook groups, masterminds, courses you can join, and in real life even your friends. A personal example would be that together with my friends we formed a group called Best Brothers, and we talk about many topics of life. We improve ourselves and our businesses, and we keep each other accountable. So, action item. You don't have to be a genius. You can be part of a genius. I personally struggle with overthinking and perfectionism sometimes. I refer to this as a kind of like a monkey in my brain who is doing crazy and he has to be tamed and calmed down. If you think like an amateur, this perfectionism and overthinking is less often the case. Zen monk Shunri Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind there are few." With the mindset of an amateur, you are also able to find your voice. Like, you can't really find your voice if you don't use it. Often the gap is not between being mediocre or good, but the gap is between doing and doing nothing. Contributing something is better than contributing nothing. And eventually you'll get better. I mean, everyone is an amateur at some point in their lives, and they were all courageous enough to go out there, start doing their work and persevere. If you're scared to start showing your work, the following thing might help. Remember that you're going to die. Yep. Remembering this just puts things into perspective. This practice is also practiced by the Stoics a lot, and they call it memento mori. Even the great emperor Marcus Aurelius practiced memento mori. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say and think." Personally, I apply the beginner's mind as well. For example, by making this video. This video won't be perfect, there will be a lot of things that I can improve, but I'll learn along the way. Another example would be with my kitesurfing lessons. If I expected everything to go perfectly smooth as of the first lesson, it would not have been a lot of fun. But now, with the mindset of an amateur, I can go out there and enjoy every bit of progress that I make. Fun fact, the origin of the word amateur is from Latin, amare, which means to love, or amator, which means lover. Today's amateur is the one who pursues things with enthusiasm and shows it with love. So share your work because you love it. Action item, have a beginner's mind, the mindset of an amateur, and learn in the open. Key message number 3. Your process doesn't have to be private anymore. Back in the day there was no social media to share your process with, and there was a clear difference between artwork and artwork, or a painting and painting. But nowadays, thanks to social media, you can share your process with the world. The author says if your work isn't online, it doesn't exist. What's also valuable about sharing your process is that it's a feedback loop and it will keep you accountable. You can listen to the feedback and develop your audience along the way. But why would you share your process? People are interested in the behind the scenes. It gives you a chance to build a unique bond between you and your audience. It gives them a sense of the amount of work that you actually put into your end product. Also, people like people, and they like to be part of a creative process. The reason I will share my process is because I want to attract an audience of like-minded people, keep myself accountable, share my learnings and learn from sharing my learnings. I want to become better at English and better in front of the camera. I also want to attract an audience for a new brand we are currently working on, and who knows, I will find the woman of my dreams because she sees one of my videos. Think process, not product. Number 4, take it day by day. The nice things about days is that they have a rhythm. You can build sharing content into your routine, but keep in mind to not overshare. Like there's a difference between sharing and oversharing. And oversharing made me think about something that Dr. Andrew Huberman said, that if you share your goals with people, with the public, this might trigger the same kind of dopamine response as actually accomplishing your goals. So if you trigger that dopamine response, it might not be beneficial for you to actually accomplish your goals, which is eventually the goal, of course. But at the same time, it keeps yourself accountable if you share it to the open. But okay, this is a topic for another video. Just keep in mind that you do not have to share everything. Another interesting point that the author makes, that there is flow and stock. Flow is basically you sharing your process while you work on your stock, your end result. So you share your process while working on your end product. If you are not sure if you want to share something, you could sleep a night on it. As simple as it sounds, this was actually a big lesson for me that I learned earlier in my life. I did things often out of enthusiasm and then later realized that it was not necessarily the right thing to do. So sleep a night on it. You could also use the following simple table. Is it valuable? Yes. Share it. No. Don't share it. I'm not sure. Save it for later. Key message number 5. Portfolio over resume. You might think that showing your work is just for people that want to become an influencer or a YouTuber or whatever, but actually, if you are looking to find a job somewhere, it will be valuable for you as well. Founders nowadays are often not so much interested in your resume, but more into your portfolio. Like, what have you created? Imagine being hired because someone found your blog or your portfolio on your own online space. When the journalist David Carr was asked if he had any advice for students, he said, "No one is going to give a damn about your resume. They are interested in what you have created with your own little fingers." Me, as a founder myself, who has hired quite some people in the past, am not so much interested in your resume either. I'm more interested in what you have created and your character. Showing your work online is also a good way or a decent way for me to get a better understanding of your character, especially if it's in video format. So you have to turn the invisible into the visible, into something that others can see. Go out and show your work. Fun fact. In the 16th and 17th century in Europe, there was a Wunderkammer. A Wunderkammer was a chamber, also called a wonder chamber in English. It was a cabinet of curiosities where people would store things they're interested in, like small little jewels, trophies, whatever they could find to share their knowledge or interest. And you could build your own domain, your own online space, exactly like a Wunderkammer. Wunderkammer. An online space where you share your interest, your knowledge, the things you like, your ideas, your notes, your tasks, everything. At this moment, I do not have my website live yet. But if it will be live, then the URL will be daantjegoedhart.com. So keep me accountable by maintaining my website. If it's not live in a week, then I failed. So, action item. Build your website, your own online space like a Wunderkammer. Key message number 6. Sharing your interest will attract your people. This reminds me something that Naval Ravikant says, become a magnet to luck. I agree with Naval completely. If you haven't listened to any of his content yet, please do yourself a favor, because he is a very wise man. And you could start by listening to his podcast, How to Get Rich. I've had personal experience with being a magnet for luck as well, such as finding friends, finding the right suppliers for a specific kind of product, being invited to speaking events and other things. Don't waste your time networking, but take advantage of the network. Taking advantage of the network and building your own online asset is a way of networking that has a lot more leverage than going to actual networking events. And keep in mind, there is no good or bad interest. I mean, we are all different. Imagine if we were all the same and there was never a topic you could hear that you knew nothing about yet. That would be quite boring. Take pride in what you love and share it with love. Even others think it's garbage. Speaking about garbage, you can find treasure in other people's trash. An example of this is the Trash Museum. A New York garbage man, Nelson Molina, he made a museum out of things that he was able to find in trash cans. Key message number 7. Work doesn't speak for itself, so learn how to tell good stories. The author shared an image wherein he was trying to make a point let me just explain it first. They're all triangles, and beneath the triangle there is a mountain. This triangle is a mountain. This is a shark fin, it's a stalagmiet, it's a wizard head, and this is a tortilla ship. And this is whatever you want the triangle to be. How strong subtitles can actually shape your perception of an image. They're all the same image, but the subtitles underneath it tell me that this is a tortilla ship and this is definitely a wizard head. So basically the story can give so much context to the image that you are sharing. Hey Lotje, come back. People like you and I like you too. Let's continue. So we care about stories behind things. How much we like things is shaped by the stories behind it. Humans are curious, we want to know where things come from, how it was made, when it was made. Stories will affect people's understanding of and emotional response to your work, which in turn will affect how they value it. A personal example of how stories value things or can give context to things is this painting. For a lot of people, this is just a regular painting. But for us, for our family, knowing that this painting was made by my brother when he was still alive and 4.5 years old during his last chemotherapy in the hospital, because he loved flowers so much, makes this a very special and valuable painting. Another example of how I value things because of stories is founding stories. I really like the brand Nike because of the book Shoe Dog. It's a very nice book, by the way. And another example of a brand will be Gymshark. I find Gymshark super awesome because I know Ben Francis' inspiring founding story, and it's all on YouTube for you to look at. There are many story structures which you can follow that make a good story. For example, this one by Dan Harmon. How philosopher Aristotle said it: a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or how author John Gardner says it: a character wants something, goes after it despite opposition, and then ends with a win, a draw, or a lose. Another one is Gustav's Freitags, which is this. Pitching is also a story structure. You have the past, the present, and the future. The past, what you've wanted and how it came that you want this and what you've done so far to get it. The present, where you are now, how you have worked hard and how you have used almost all of your resources. And the future, where you are heading towards and how the person that you are pitching can perfectly help you get there. Action item: give context to your work with good stories. Key message number 8. The more you teach, the more you learn. This is also one of the reasons why I will be making videos. There have been many books that I've read that I've just forgotten again. I think, and this is also something I've learned, there's a big difference between remembering or understanding and then actually teaching something. Some people are scared of sharing their learnings because they think about competition, but remember, there's a big difference between theory and actually mastering something in practice. Also, the more you teach about something, the closer people will feel to it. And then in return, the more you learn about it. Make stuff that you love and talk about the stuff you love. Then you will be loved by people who love the same things. And then together you can learn more about the things that you love. Action item. Learn, teach. Learn, teach. Learn, teach. Ladies and gentlemen, we arrive at key message number 9. Don't turn into human spam. Listen to your audience. We all unsubscribe to spam mails, so you don't want to turn into a spam person, obviously. There is a better way to go about it, and it's also a way that you are able to learn more. Turn down your volume and listen. I always say, I'd rather listen to you, because the things that I am able to say I already know. Also, keep in mind there's a big difference between hearing something and actually listening. Hearing doesn't improve your life. Listening does. Connect with your audience. If you want to have fans, you have to be a fan first. If you want to get, you have to give. If you want to be noticed, you have to notice. And if you want to be interesting, you have to be interested. So, while building your audience, listen, support them, connect with them, ask questions, collaborate with them wherever possible. You want to build real connections. You care about quality followers. You don't want eyeballs, you want hearts. Because talking to people you don't want to talk to about things you don't want to talk about is just a waste of time. And I'm here to listen as well. I would love to build real connections and find the woman of my dream with the content that I am creating. So drop a comment, let me know what you think, if you find something valuable, if you like Lotje or not, of course you do, or something random that you would like to share. And this also might be the moment that I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So please subscribe to my channel and like this video. And something else, if you have any feedback, it might be positive or negative, drop it down in the comments as well. And this leads me to the next key message. Learn how to deal with punches. But first, action items. Learn, teach and listen. And build real connections with your audience. If you show your work, there will of course and hopefully be feedback. And there will also be haters and trolls. But you should not feed the trolls. Remember that it is you who has the courage to go out there and show your work. I guess it is good to sometimes just don't give a fuck. Perhaps a good book to read about this is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Learn to receive the feedback. Learn to deal with the punches. Of course you're going to get feedback. You're still an amateur after all. I think it's also about being able to put your ego aside. Your work isn't you. It's just something that you do. And criticism could also be a good thing. It's an opportunity for you for a new work approach. Tips on how to deal with punches. Relax and breathe. A lot of fear only happens in your imagination. I mean, like, how bad is it really after all? There's also a quote from the philosopher Seneca. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. Strengthen your neck. Just put out a lot of work. Take the punches. And then just put out more work. The more work and the more criticism you take, the more you'll realize that it can't hurt you. You can't control the criticism that you will receive, but you can control how you react to it. The Stoics refer to this as the dichotomy of control. Protect your vulnerable areas. If something is too sensitive to you, then just don't share it. But this way you might never truly connect with your audience. And the last tip would be keep your balance. Your work is not who you are, it's just something that you do. Key message number 11. For lasting success, sell out. The author Austin Kleon talks about that as soon as you get any money for your work, people start calling you a sellout. I won't really go too deep into this because I think it's just bullshit. So don't be scared to ask people money for your work, of course. Remember that even things like the Sistine Chapel ceiling painted by Michelangelo was painted because he was commissioned by the Pope, and that the movie The Godfather was created because the creator was tired of being an artist and he was in debt, so he needed that money. And I think we arrived at the last key message already. Stick around. People don't smoke, but when it comes down to your work, go for chain smoking. Use the previous project to light up your next project. Of course, chain smoking is disastrous for your health, but if you apply this concept to your work, you will never lose momentum. Eventually you will burn out and you have to search for a new match, and the author recommends then to go for a sabbatical. Well, I would not recommend a sabbatical because I think it's a bit extreme. It is, I think, 6 months or longer. I would recommend, and this is how the author Tim Ferriss of the book The 4-Hour Workweek calls it, a mini retirement, and then preferably, of course, a well-deserved one. This mini retirement might rekindle your flame and you are able to find your new match to then light up your new projects. Also look for daily opportunities to turn yourself off sometimes. Like we are on so often, so just be off. I myself go for a walk often with Lotje, and I do yoga. I go to the gym without any music. I do running. I love a day in the spa. I do breathwork. Sometimes I watch Netflix. Try to do it not too often, just staring out of the window. Oh, and of course, sex. So disconnect from work and make sure to fully recharge yourself and be clearly again. Action item: disconnect and recharge. Turn on to off. My review of Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. For me, this book was an inspiration to start making videos again, to start showing my work. So it inspired me. Therefore, thanks, Austin. You could finish this book in like an hour or 2 hours if you really go for it, but I took a lot of notes, made a lot of highlights. I really tried to understand this book, and I'm now teaching it to you. So for me this was a lot longer, I think like 5 hours just for the book. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and it inspired me in a lot of ways. The things mentioned aren't really like mind-blowingly, but it triggered a lot of thoughts and they were great reminders. I also read a negative review from someone else, and he said that he didn't like the book because there was no flow in it. It was really like ID 1, ID 2, ID 3. Honestly, I really like books that way. Just especially for non-fiction books, I'm not really looking for a real flow. I'm just looking for maximizing my learnings, the knowledge that I gain from a book. And that was the case. So I don't agree. It's actually how my brain works as well, because sometimes my brain is quite unstructured. So if the books are then structured, that helps. Another book that is written that way is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's the same way. It's really like ID, learning. Honestly, this is the best books, one of the best books that I've ever read. I definitely recommend. I don't think Show Your Work is for everyone. I have not shown my work for years, for many months, and this can be quite relaxed actually. Like just don't be on social media, don't be online, just be offline and focus on your life in the present. And there are plenty of people who are successful, healthy, wealthy, lucky, happy, who do not show their work. Also, I do not agree with sharing random posts and always showing your process. I personally would rather show more of the end result and less of the process. Austin, I've checked your Instagram account and there are like random posts on it that I'm just not interested in. I found his Instagram a bit messy. Then again, he is an artist and he also mentioned that process is messy, so it makes sense. Credit is always due. So Austin, thanks for writing this book. And you can check out Austin's website on austinkleon.com. He also wrote Steal Like an Artist, which is also a bestseller. And the newest one is keep going. So this is the order. See you like an artist. Show your work and keep going. So Austin, thanks for showing your work. All right. People, have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and me and Lotje hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye. Oh, PS, here are all the action items out of this book. I think there is remembering, understanding, teaching, and then executing. And the last one is the one that really matters. So go out there, guys, and execute all the learnings. Good luck. Bye.